Music from the motion picture Pulp Fiction is the soundtrack to Quentin Tarantino's 1994 film Pulp Fiction. No traditional film score was commissioned for Pulp Fiction. The film contains a mix of American rock and roll, surf music, pop and soul. The soundtrack is equally untraditional, consisting of 9 songs from the movie, 4 tracks of dialogue snippets followed by a song, and 3 tracks of dialogue alone. 7 songs featured in the movie were not included in the original 41-minute soundtrack. The album reached number 21 on the Billboard 200, while Urge Overkill's cover of the Neil Diamond song Girl, You'll Be a Woman soon peaked at number 59 on the Billboard Hot 100. Composition: Tarantino used an eclectic assortment of songs by various artists. Notable songs include Dick Dale's now iconic rendition of My Zyla, which is played during the opening credits. Tarantino chose surf music for the basic score of the film because, it just seems like rock and roll Ennio Morricone music, rock and roll spaghetti western music. Many of the songs on the soundtrack were suggested to Tarantino by musician Boyd Rice through their mutual friend Alison Anders, including Dick Dale's My Zyla. Other songs were suggested to Tarantino by his friends Chuck Kelly and Laura Lovelace, who were credited as music consultants. Lovelace also appeared in the film as Laura the waitress. In addition to the surf rock rendition of My Zyla, other notable songs include Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang, Dusty Springfield's version of Son of a Preacher Man, Flowers on the Wall by the Statler Brothers and Bustin' Surfboards by the Tornadoes, from 1962, which had been one of the first instrumental surf songs to hit the United States music charts after notables such as Walk, Don't Run by the Ventures. Excerpts of dialogue include Jules' Ezekiel 25:17 speech and the Royale with Cheese exchange between Jules and Vincent. A 2-disc collector's edition of the album was issued in 2002. The first disc contained the songs, including 4 additional tracks. And the second disc was a spoken-word interview with Tarantino. Woody Thorne's 1961 song Teenagers in Love, and Link Wray's 1965 single Ace of Spades are 2 of the 3 songs missing from the collector's edition soundtrack. The last song is unique to the movie. It is Ricky Nelson Waitin' in School is performed by the actor Gary Shorell, which plays as Vincent and Mia enter Jack Rabbit Slims. Influence: Pulp Fiction was one of the biggest films of the 90s. The soundtrack reached number 21 on the Billboard 200, and at the time, went platinum in Canada alone. By November 12, 1994, total sales of more than 1.6 million were reached, and by 1996 over 2 million units had been sold. In 1995 the soundtrack reached number 6 on the charts according to SoundScan. The soundtrack helped launch the band Urge Overkill, which covered Neil Diamond's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon in 1993, into a mainstream market. Sony received a nice sum for Son of a Preacher Man, and Kool and the Gang enjoyed a resurgence when Jungle Boogie was released on the soundtrack. The Orange County Register described why the soundtrack of Pulp Fiction stood out from all the others: unlike so many soundtracks, which just seem to be repositories for stray songs by hit acts regardless of whether they fit the film's mood, Tarantino's use of music in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction exploded with a brash, technicolor, pop culture intensity that mirrored the stories he was telling. Analyzing the success of Tarantino's marketing, Billboard chalked up MCA's compilation to identifying the market niche. Pulp Fiction successfully spoke to those attuned to the hip, stylized nature of those particular films. The eclectic mix-and-match strategy is true to the film. In some cases, like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, which were not geared toward any specific demographic, the soundtracks were still very focused albums, said Kathy Nelson, Senior VP General Manager at MCA Soundtracks. In both cases, the body of work both the music and the film has a specific personality. In 1997, Gary Thompson of the Philadelphia Inquirer said that Pulp Fiction reinvigorated surf rock. That statement would be defining for Del-Fi Records, owned by legendary producer Bob Keane. The Pulp Fiction soundtrack contained 2 songs that were originally released on Del-Fi, Bullwinkle .2 by the Centurions, and Surf Rider by the Lively Ones. Delphi Records released a compilation CD in 1995 entitled Pulp Surfin' featuring songs by those bands plus 16 other surf tracks from the vaults. The cover artwork was yet another parody of the Pulp Fiction movie poster. Inspired by the soundtrack, advertisers started to use surf music in their commercials to help sell everything from burritos to toothpaste, making surf music hugely popular again. More than 2 years after the film was released, the influence and monetary success was still being felt in the industry. Mundane commercials using Dick Dale's 60s surf licks, the kind made popular again by the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Following a trend in this case, a 2-year-old hit movie. Track listing, Collector's Edition. A 2-disc Collector's Edition was released in 2002. It features remastered versions of the original 16 tracks, along with 5 bonus tracks. The second disc contains an interview with director Quentin Tarantino. The additional tracks are, Since I First Met You performed by the Robins Euro 220, Rumble performed by Link Wray and his Ray Men Euro 225, Strawberry Letter No. 23 performed by the Brothers Johnson Euro 457, Out of Limits performed by the Markets Euro 205, Stranger Than Fiction / Tarantino Talks. Euro 1611, songs not on the soundtrack releases, Waitin' in School performed by Gary Shorell, Ace of Spades performed by Link Wray, Teenagers in Love performed by Woody Thorne. References